Jackie Kashian, Laurie Kilmartin.
Laurie Kilmartin.
Jacqueline,
Hello.
are you still where you were last week?
In Bakersfield? I am. I was just telling Bamford that to stay any longer would literally just be some sort of marriage abandonment. So just some sort of just leaving. I'm running away from home. So
Right.
but I'll tell you what, Bakersfield, I have actually discovered things. So here's what happened. So I got here on Sunday, right? Driving back from the gig on Monday, Modesto. Before we get into this, let's do the gigs. Let's do the gigs.
Oh yeah. Kyle, we
because,
can hear
it's
your
the end
typing.
of October.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it all fixed out here.
Oh, okay, all right.
Go for it, Laurie Kilmartin.
Oh, me?
Yeah, because you got it memorized. You said.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe we could cut out this awkwardness real quick.
For sure.
Just clean up that first minute. Yeah.
Guys, we do a podcast not because we love logging in every week to check in. We do it because we're trying to get people to come to our shows so that we can have income. That's it. If you listen and we're in your town and you come to our shows, you're a bad person. And I'm sorry, but that's just a fact.
You told me you wanted to talk about comedy.
December. Yeah, that was 10 years ago, Jackie. 10 years. November 1st, Friday, I'm in Washington, D.C. November 2nd, I'm in Philadelphia at Helium. You can get tickets on my website, kilmartin.com. The 7th of November, a Friday, I'm in Eugene, Oregon. The 8th, I'm in Portland, Oregon. And the 9th, I'm in Bend, Oregon. I'm driving all around. I'm pretty excited to see Oregon that weekend in November. 15th and 16th, I'm at Chicago at the Comedy Complex in Oak Park. That's a suburb of Chicago. So you could feel all safe and stuff. It's, not like the room where you're near the hotel where they traffic, where we stay happily. But that's not, you know what? Why am I even talking about this? We're at this is the Comedy Flex in Oak Park, and it's going to be really fun. The 12th of December, I am in San Diego at the Mic Drop, and the 13th and 14th, I'm in Chandler, Arizona at the Mic Drop, and the 26th and 27th, or 27th, 28th of December, I'm at the Dead Crow in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's the rest of my 2024. There's plenty of room for more if anyone's listening.
Right, and you don't have a New Year's Eve gig, and you love a New Year's Eve gig.
I do.
I don't. I'm happily not. So you're home until the end. You're in LA until the 1st of November as well. Is that what I'm hearing?
Something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Is
nice
this home?
Work. Me too. This is home. So I live in Bakersfield, but personally, it's November 1st and 2nd. I'm doing a couple of shows. There's a comedy festival in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's November 1, 2. November 3rd through the 6th, I'm doing a run through Canada vaguely around Toronto with Maria Bamford. Go to mariabamford.com. I haven't had time to update my website, but that's November 3rd to the 6th. It's all north and east, I think, of. And then the 7th, 8th, and 9th of November, I'm in Vermont. And November 12th, I'm back in Canada doing south of Toronto in Hamilton, Ontario. That one, I would love everyone to come to because, I want everyone to come to everything, but that one seems to be a theater, you guys. Vermont's a comedy club. I love them dearly. Pittsburgh is a festival. But if you're anywhere near Hamilton, Ontario on November 12th, please do. November 15th and 16th, back down in the US of A, Portland, Maine, doing the Empire Comedy Club. And then November 21, 22, and 23, I'm doing another run with Maria in the Midwest, November 21, 22, 23, Rockford, Illinois, Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee. In December, the 4th through the 7th, I'm doing a Florida run with Brian Regan. and check his website because, again, mine doesn't have it yet. The 12th, 13th, and 14th, I'm doing, I think, the Den with Maria. And then the 19th, 20th, and 21st, right before Christmas, I'm doing Dr. Grins in Grand Rapids. So I have been resting in Bakersfield
Mhm.
days after I have tested negative. I tested again today, again negative. So that's the good news.
So how many days
And
were
I
you
feel a
positive?
lot better.
How many days were you positive?
I think 3 or 4.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you
So here's the interesting thing for me is that, we know so many people. You've never had it. I had never had it until now. I
Mhm.
felt very, very blessed to have not had it and kind of like a unicorn and unique. And now I feel part of the community now that I've had it. So glass half full, right? Anyway, but nobody said like I hadn't heard what the symptoms were, and they are varied. And
Yeah.
so when I got got the symptoms, I was shocked and appalled, and I don't approve. It was an achiness like the flu, but crazy worse, a
Oh.
pounding headache that was worse, and that was for 2 days, and then after that, I had occasional ache and then occasional headache, and at one point I had a headache so bad that I thought that I was going to die. So I packed all of my luggage, and so whoever had to clean this hotel room when I was found dead, uh, wouldn't have to pack all of my items. You know what that makes me? Little bit of little drama going on there.
Jackie, with the pounding headache, you were packing your things, prepping for death. You didn't just lay down?
I had laid down. It didn't go away. I had Andy suffers from migraines, and he said different ways that he deals with migraines. And I've been there. I've seen him. Sometimes he sits up, and then sometimes he lies down, and I took a bath, and then I had not eaten. I had eaten a lot of peanut butter and jelly for 3 days, and I will not be eating any more peanut butter and jelly for some time. But thank you very much. And I'll also be dropping the untouched jellies and peanut butter and loaf of bread by your house, keeping
keep
the
it,
bread
keep
and
it.
jelly. Don't want it. So I know that your boy has a hollow leg, and he will put it
Jackie,
in
we
his
don't want
pie
your
hole.
COVID jams, okay? You just keep them or throw them away.
I'm not. Well, you let them out on the porch until they've burned off. Anyway, so I took a test on Wednesday, and I was clear, but then I was still like just weak as hell, man.
Yeah.
It was bad. And then this morning, which is Sunday, I will have been here 8 days.
Jesus Christ.
And
Unbelievable.
and but I found a really good breakfast place. I think it's called the Wake Up Cafe. I
Mhm.
went there one day for takeout. I found a Jamaican drive-through place that looked like an old-timey photo mat.
Uh-huh.
That was amazing today. I had a mediocre seafood soup. That was disappointing. And but and I went to a coffee shop that was called Cafe Smitten,
Mhm.
that a Palestinian protest marched past me. There was a barbecue place right across the street from it that was pretty good. I
Mhm.
sat outside and had a pulled pork sandwich. And Cafe Smitten, they were just shouting into they were like, "It's owned by Zionists." And I was like, "Are you sure? Or are they just Jews? What has it turned into at this point?" Because I get it, right? But they make an amazing salad in Israel. That's always been my opinion about Israel, and it remains.
That's your
Okay.
opinion about Israel is you like Israeli salad?
Yes, I refuse to go any deeper on when being recorded. Thank you very much. but I am sad for
Sure.
everybody. Don't think I'm
Understood.
not. Yeah. So, so I have not done stand up in over 8 days, and so I don't. To quote you, I don't do stand up anymore. Very sad. Uh, so, yeah, but I drive home tomorrow, and I'm feeling much better. So much better. It's good.
So you canceled your Florida gig, right?
Yes.
Or did they
Yes,
cancel
I
on
did.
you? Was it
Oh no,
okay.
they did not get hit.
Okay.
Yeah, they were not in the path. Nate Craig was there this weekend, and he said that it is very beautiful, and he had to work to get them, but it was super creepy. The rural Florida vibe. Let's just say.
Jackie, when you canceled for COVID, did they just say, come on out anyway? Like, they must have been
No,
shocked
the
that
woman
you
who
would use
owns
that.
it. No, the woman who owns it says no. Long COVID's a real thing. She was amazing, actually.
Oh,
She said,
all right, cool.
please take care of yourself. Please take this seriously, and please do take and we can reschedule you for 25. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was so. But I canceled my flights and my hotel in Cincinnati, and then my flight to, which I used money, and I bought the kind of, so now I have a Delta credit for almost $900.
Wait, that was
Because
how
that's
much
how
you
much it
spent on your
costs
airfare?
to get to Panama City, Florida. Yes.
Oh, fuck, Jackie. I know they weren't giving you 900 to fly there, though, right? They didn't give you 900 for air, right?
Supposedly, they were going to cover air.
Wow.
Supposedly, I didn't. I couldn't count on it, but
Just in general, the airfares these clubs are giving, it's not covering the air anymore. The air is like closer
No.
to 700 a lot of the time. 500 is not
right,
doing
and
it.
right, and it's usually 500. Some of them pay 4. So, but yeah, so it can be a haul. But yeah, so there's these spots in the middle of my run where I'm gonna go to Albany, New York,
Mm-hmm.
and visit a friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and not, I guess, see your grandfather's Red Barn, though. Of course, I've already driven by it.
I went there. You don't
And,
have to.
good. I'm so glad that you visited it. And but I will see hopefully my friends Joe and Kathy. I just have to organize it. I believe it'll be like after the Portland, Maine, and before the Rockford. So like November 17 through the 20th.
Okay.
I think is what I'm thinking of doing. And then I'll just drive up, I'll rent a car, drive up. I don't even know how I'm getting to any of these gigs. I have a flight to Pittsburgh. That's all I've got. So in Vermont, I may rent a car and drive to Hamilton, Ontario. Does that sound like something?
Yeah, especially now because it'll be so beautiful. That sounds lovely, actually. You know, fall,
mid-November?
the leaves turning and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
All right. Mid-November might be okay in Vermont and Canada. We shall see.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're finally being released. That's horrendous that you had to spend that many days by yourself at that hotel in Bakersfield.
I know. I was very I did a lot of I went old school lockdown, did a lot of Zooms with friends.
Yeah.
And then I actually played board games twice with Andy and some friends over the internet with Zoom as well. So
well,
I have the skills. I have the skills to be locked down, it turns out.
Yeah, for sure. We all do.
Yeah.
I was on the talk on Thursday.
That's right. That's right. And it looked fun.
It
looked like you killed.
It was so easy. I mean,
And it was
it's
easy?
a dream. Yeah.
Oh,
They're
that's so
super
good.
nice. The you know, you get your little you get your little dressing room, and there's food and everything, which
Sure.
I collected and put into my purse after the gig because I didn't want to eat before the show, right? But also I'm like
No.
free food, and I'm like I'm cool to take all this, right? And they're like sure. So I just like put it in a suitcase. I have my air purifier that I brought with me to hair and makeup.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I mean, you know, it was a pretty quick turnaround from booking it and just going over the set a couple times. I had to send different variations of the set, and they sent it to standards and practices. Had to drop a line that when I was
Which
doing the
one?
joke, I was like, oh, this
Mhm.
line would kill. It would kill, and I'm not doing it. It hurt.
Right.
It hurt.
Yes. Yes.
Cheryl Underwood is one of the hosts, and she's just, I love her. She's great. And I met
How
her
long have you
one
known
time.
her?
I just met
Yeah.
her once at Caroline's, like in the 2000s, like early 2000s or something. And after
We both did Aspen. We did the second year of the Aspen Comedy Festival that Lisa
okay.
Langang booked in
Yeah.
1996.
Yeah. She never booked me, Lisa Langang, but I have
No,
forgotten
I
it,
know.
and I don't
But
think about
Aspen,
it
have you
ever.
been to Aspen?
But listen,
Ever.
Jackie, can I finish just one sentence? Or you got to interject?
Yep.
I listened to 9 hours of your COVID stories.
Yes, I thought I didn't know that this was a monologue. My apologies. Please go.
It's not a monologue. It's just one story from start to finish. That's it.
Okay, it felt like several. It felt like several stories.
Yeah, well, I'm talking
But
about the
please
whole day at the
continue.
talk. Let's go back
Right.
and talk about Aspen in 1996 and you dropping the name of the woman who didn't book me.
We
To
got
my
time.
face.
We got time. To your face. Well, have I done the talk? Look at my restraint not asking you who booked the talk. Look at
I can
that.
tell you.
Huh?
The problem is it's ending in December. So there's like, if they do one comic a week for the next, they really don't have many slots
That gives
left.
them 8 weeks. They have 8
About.
weeks left.
Yeah.
I could go. I could
You
go.
totally
I could
could.
go on an off day. Yeah.
You could. Well, they don't
They
do.
won't.
It's their
They won't
Friday
book.
thing. They don't have an off day where they. Jackie, it's the
should've-
Friday thing. Okay.
They should have booked me.
Well,
is
you're
what I'm
just
saying.
not.
Tell me the rest
You're
of
being
it.
very unserious right now. Back to Cheryl. So she goes, I know you. And I said, we met at Caroline. She said, I remember. And she remembered the one time we met. She was really nice.
Okay.
But yeah, so Brian Kiley did it the week before me, and he crushed. And he said, and the executive producer said too, he goes, our audience laughs at setups. And I'm like, hello. If you watch Kylie's set, he said, my ancestors came here from Ireland, and he got an applause break. And he was like, okay, this is going to be, I can relax a little bit.
Yes.
So yeah, it was a really great set. And so I'm going to be clipping it out this week and trying to follow the Laura Vogel rule. I have one clip I'm going to push on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. With just a couple of hashtags and see what happens.
And then you're gonna repost it as a reel on Facebook.
Yeah,
and then you're gonna repost it, but you're gonna download. It's all, and then you're gonna repost it on TikTok, and then you probably will go to YouTube Shorts. I forgot to do that on the one that I did today.
It's not as short. It's about a minute and a half. This one, but yeah,
there you go.
I'll put it up on YouTube as well. I think I did put it up on YouTube just to test to see how it's doing. It's doing pretty well on TikTok in terms of the people that follow me liking it. So I think it'll do well on Instagram. But I have basically I did 3 chunks and one little intro joke. So maybe the last chunk could be split into two reels. I'm not really sure. But that's all the TV set is now. It's something you hope goes well so you can turn it into reels because they film in 4K, Yeah. What is anything anymore? That's why when you say we're here to talk about comedy, what is comedy? I'm just as I'm doing a TV spot, I'm like, oh, this is a good reel. Okay, but now let's do the next chunk of material / reel.
Well, if we want to break it down, we think of the stand-up as bits and chunks, and and storytelling. So the reels
Ye-
can be bits and chunks, and
They are.
there's
They're
longer ones and
exactly.
shorter
But
ones. Yeah,
they are.
yeah,
It just feels like, all right, recorded it, and then I don't know. When we started, like you had a TV spot, and then you sent it to bookers, right? You just put it on your set it on VHS tape,
Wow.
sent it out to bookers, and now we just do. But that's just one mailing. Now we have to like cut it, clip it, upload it to all these different things, and hope that they take off so that you could fill a room at 4 p.m. in Philadelphia when Penn State's playing Ohio. You know?
Right. I don't think that comedy fans and sports fans, I don't think there's a lot of overlap. I think
hope not.
it's anybody who's coming to a 4 p.m. stand-up show wasn't going to watch that game anyway.
I
So
hope so.
I will say when I met Cheryl, I saw the first set I ever saw of her. She did a joke that I've seen other people do the same bit. You know how it just happens, right? And but it was that bit. She always brought her purse on stage
Oh yeah, she
and
was the
talked
first
about
to
how
do
she
that.
didn't.
Yes. Yeah.
I think she was the first to do that that I saw, and that was
Mhm.
'96, and she'd probably been doing it since the beginning. And but I've seen other comics do that since. So
I mean,
carrying comics who
it
talk
is
about how they don't trust white people.
well,
Yes, because
or any or
that was the bit with more punchlines. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I mean, it is safe to. I think it's smart to bring your stuff on stage at some of these gigs we do. There's like
I
no
got my.
green room. You're
Do you
just
ever
leaving
get your
it at the
stuff?
bar.
Did you ever get your? I got my wallet stolen once.
No, not
At
yet.
the improv. At the improv, yeah.
Really?
It was bad. Yeah, just from that back booth. It was truly annoying.
Oh, that
And
sucks.
someone had taken a credit card and gone to 3 different gas stations and bought like $2.75 worth of gas. And I was like, I don't understand what this master plan is.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, that
It was
person is a
probably
poor
20 years ago,
planner,
though.
a poor thinker on every level. But yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
I
fun.
always put somebody in charge of it. Oh, that's so great.
And then
and mellow and fun. Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool. And then that night I had a set at a loft with an artist loft. Well, it's called the Boxy Studio, and I had an address, and I tried to look up Boxy Studio, and it wasn't nothing was coming up on Google Maps, and it was like I got to the it's in downtown LA, so it's completely deserted. But I do hear stand up coming from way up high. I'm like, I'm at the right building, so I text who I'm supposed to text, and someone clomps down. It's like 5 stories up, and the elevator was broken. I was like, this is. It felt like my first days in New York,
Was it
where
packed out?
it was pretty full. They had a good house, but it just that sort of warehousey.
floor
Everything's
walk-up?
broken, lights are out, and good luck to you. But then you get up there, and there's like, it's an artist lot. The person has cool art, but there's like, just heads hanging
Right?
from various places, and I'm like, yeah, this is how artists see the world. They just like to sever limbs and heads and torsos and then separate them. They don't want bodies to be together. And it was a fun show. But then,
by the way, I would like to change the theme of this podcast to Laurie does art reviews. Okay, go ahead.
And then that was Thursday night. I was pretty. In Jackie, and I'm not going to blame you for this at all.
Thank you.
But
so much.
My son's water polo team had a game against the rivals who happened to be, and this is pure coincidence, perhaps genetically related to you.
Were they from Armenia? Or were they from
I would say
Pasadena,
one generation
for some
off.
reason?
I would say the parents are, and
Right.
some of the kids were punching during the water polo game, and the ref missed it because of his cataracts or whatever.
Wow.
So
all right.
so I go from the talk, and I went to the water polo game with full makeup on, by the way. I didn't have time to take it off. And when someone puts false eyelashes on me, they stay till they fall off. And then I went to the
right.
art show. Big day Thursday. There's a lot going on
Big
Thursday.
day. That is a big day, and none of my my people's dads in their smelling vaguely of Giorgio and the Cold War hit on you with you all being tricked out like that.
No, too bad. Too bad.
I know there could have been some work. Could have got some
Yes.
work done. Anyway, so I take it your son's team did not win,
Lost by a goal.
and it was probably because someone had been punched, and then
You know what? One of our good players has been kicked out of games for much less. And it was
Okay.
like this one's staying in. That's what
Okay.
I was yelling at the ref. You leaving him in? Look what he's doing. Look what he's doing to our boys.
Our boys. I have watched a fair amount of television. Oh wait, are you done? Did you? No, you probably had more. You had a set tonight, and that was only
No, I
Thursday.
didn't. Not
It's already
tonight.
Sunday.
Then a Friday. I had a set at the Comedy Store at the OR. That was
Nice.
That was fun. Then I don't even know how to rectify this. So when you can park in the parking lot when you have a spot there, right? So. And there are up and coming comics like the Comedy Store, like the doorman, the valet. Everybody's a comic, right? And
They're
that's
all
how
comics
a lot of people got their start.
who work there.
Famously, Mark
Yeah.
Maron was a door guy. Okay.
Oh, I did not know.
Oh yeah. So
Okay.
so I'm looking for my car and I see somebody in a hoodie dress. It looked like it was a hoodie. Okay. I'm not gonna say dressed like a
looked like a
valet, but
valet
I'm
guy.
just saying, yeah.
Yeah.
And I said,
Just dark clothes. Yeah.
yes, and a baseball cap and whatever. I was like, are you? Because sometimes the valets change. If you're there for a couple hours, somebody else jumps in and takes over, right? And I don't know everybody yet. So I was like, oh, I'm sorry, are you doing the cars? And he's like, I'm also a past comic. I'm the past paid regular. And then he spins around and walks away. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't. So
Right.
then I found the guy who was parking, and he's like, don't worry about it. But it
Don't
was
worry
just
about
like, you don't have to. It was an honest mistake. You don't have to
Right.
get angry with me. You could have just been really polite, and I would have been mortified. But because
Right. And
you
you could have
didn't
said back,
accept my
you
apology,
can't take a ball bust. You can't take a ball bust.
Jackie.
Which is how I picture the 70s at the Comedy Store.
Oh yeah,
And the
but
80s.
by the way, how many times have I been called the girlfriend or asked for a drink? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it
Right.
happens.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Check my coat. Check my coat.
Oh, coat
What's
checking.
happening?
I haven't. No one's
Yeah.
asked me to check a coat yet.
I've done more winter more winter clubs than you, and they're just like, okay.
So that was
All right.
Friday, and then Saturday. I'm just saying because you have no comedy gigs to talk about from last week, so I'll just
Right.
take
No,
up
no,
all
it's
this
good.
time here. Was at the West Side. That was really fun, and then
Oh, cool.
drove quickly over to the Kookaburra and did a set there, and that was really. That room is so good, and the audio. You feel like you're just like in a soft
That's that new
pillow
club, right?
of laughter. Yeah, it's on the 4th floor of that monstrous shopping mall on Highlands and the Ovation, I think, on Highland and Hollywood
No,
Boulevard.
like where the Kodak Theater, like where they do the
Yes,
the
it's
Olympics,
awful.
where they do
It's
the
awful.
Oscars. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's just a mess. But once you get in the parking garage, I mean, they validate the parking,
It's
so
fine.
it is kind
Yeah.
of easy. It's easy to get parking because they have a massive
You just-
garage, and you just
have
take
to
the
get there.
elevator up, and it's right there. It's a great room, the Kookaburra Lounge.
Okay. I think
And that was that.
I think I've been reached out at, but I don't know. But that's that. That's
Mhm.
cool. I can't wait to do comedy again.
You must be going
I
crazy.
don't know when. It's not great. It is not good. I had to look up. I looked up some Louise. I was like, I'm gonna need some affirmations. I'm gonna need a crystal. I'm gonna need I don't know, some bones I can rattle at the moon. So I looked at all the things and I wrote a bunch of affirmations out and I listened to some Louise Hay. And
Whoa, Louise
you know
Hay.
Louise Hay?
Oh,
Yeah,
I remember
you can
her
heal
from
your
like
life.
the 80s. Oh my
She
God.
had cancer and she affirmationed herself better. And one of
It
my, she
wasn't
has
the
these lists of
chemo?
things.
It wasn't the chemo,
Well,
huh? Oh,
right,
interesting.
right.
Okay.
And one of her, I remember when I first got the book, it was my friend Jennifer gave it to me, my old roommate, and it's actually like all self-help books, they just are telling you the same things over and over and over again that
Mhm.
you need to be told over and over and over again because you're beating yourself up inside your brain box. And so there is a list of and Louise Hay is famous for if your neck hurts, then you're not willing to see around you. If your shoulders hurt, you've taken on too much responsibility. It's a lot of that sort of very
Yeah.
literal kind of analogy. And there was an affirmation for being in a coma, and it's not it's not for the person. When I first read it, I was like, well, how is a person in a coma supposed to do an affirmation? It turns out, I think it's the person chanting next to the person in a coma. By the way, so I've watched a great deal of television and movies, as you can imagine, but not really watched because it's hard a lot of screen time isn't good for my brain recently, too. It's just, I think
Right.
that's another thing that people should know is that your brain, the virus does something to your brain box, and cut yourself some slack and just try to just listen to things if you have to, because it's boring. Anyway, and I was lucky I had a couple of books and I had some comic books, but the screen time itself is just a little too bright. Anyway, but last night I watched, and I'm just watching it on my phone because I haven't figured out how to put it on the laptop. I watched 2 Weeks Notice again for the 100th millionth time.
2 weeks. I
And
don't
I
think I've seen it.
watched. Oh, it's Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant, and it's from 10 years ago.
Okay.
Romantic comedy, very funny.
Mhm.
And then I watched Sandra Bullock and Tatum Channing from 2 years ago, and it's called The Lost City. She's a romance writer,
Mm.
and it has some amazing lines in it. Like the quips in it are hilarious. Brad Pitt has a cameo.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to say that, and I know that everybody who's 12 is watching anime right now, but 10 years from now, they should all have seen this movie and they should be quipping each other this line, which is Brad Pitt goes to save Sandra Bullock. And Sandra Bullock says, in the most deadpan, awesome Sandra Bullock delivery, she goes, "Why are you so good looking?" And without missing a beat, Brad Pitt goes, "Oh, my dad was a weatherman." Which is just the best. Such a great
That's
line.
funny. Mhm.
Anyway, hey, let's take a quick break and do the comic of the week.
Okay.
I like it. She came up on my feed. Maria, I think, got to meet her in New York, and her name is Diane Forrest, and she is 90 years old doing stand-up comedy. And she was doing Joe's Pub was the clip I saw on Instagram, and it's Diane, Dyan, and then Forrest, Forest, but her handle is Diane Forrest Writer, but Diane spelled with a Y. And she was, it's so funny. It came from, I think it came from this place of such, when you're 90 years old, you are so retired. Like, she had a joke about how she has a pension and a house in the Hamptons, and you're like, that's sort of certainty, like to be 90 and have your name be Dyan, Diane. I am in awe, and I would love to see a long set because that is outstanding. And I'm psyched she's doing it because it's awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like she kind of started recently, right?
I don't know. There was an article about her in the New York Times, and she only has a couple of posts on her Instagram, but Maria got to see her, and yeah. So if she,
Can you
whenever
imagine
yeah,
starting like just the physicality of half these clubs have stairs, you have to step up and down, just all that shit, like getting to the stage at age 90. It's
Right.
that's rough. That's hard.
Yeah, she seemed like she wasn't holding a mic, and I was like, well, maybe they did it because she's 90. She looked like she's in better shape than I am, quite honestly. So, but
She does swim. I saw that on her Instagram. So who
Okay,
knows?
there you
Yeah.
go. Mm-hmm.
You know what's cool is like, do you know Andy Huggins?
Nope.
He's a Houston.
Well, not I might, but
He was a
yeah.
Houston comic for a really long time. I believe he started with Bill Hicks. I remember working the Laugh Stop in Houston, and he seemed over comedy. And this is the 90s, right? Like one of those guys
He's
that
still
seemed too
doing
much. And then he did a Don't Tell. I mean, he's a great joke writer, and he has tons of stage experience. And he's done a Don't Tell where he just has some really great jokes about being his age. And everyone is acting like he's this guy who just stumbled into comedy and he's great at it. It's like, no, this guy's been doing it for at least 40 years. But he's having huge success too. You know, it's cool.
Okay.
I was just curious. I know I don't think she's been doing it like a long time someplace else. I never met her in New York, but just to even start at 85 or something, that's just blows my mind.
It'd be amazing. It would be amazing if she did, which is proof positive that if anybody does want to do whatever you want to do it. Because it's like, you know, the old saying of, well, you know, how old will I be when I get good at it? And I'm like, the same age you'll be if you're sucking at it, you know? I'm sure. What would Louise Hay say? She would tell you to say affirmations every day for 1 month,
man.
400 times a day. I love and approve of myself.
Oh, I did a bunch of those affirmations. I remember that. I did those.
Yeah.
I probably read that the same time you did. Struggling anything to fix whatever's happening here. Please fix my brain.
Right, just throwing noodles at the wall, hoping something's al dente.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, but yeah. So find that woman, and yeah, I want to do. You know, I was telling you I was having trouble driving, right? That the driving was ever since Telluride. I've just been a little woozy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In the car. Yeah, it's been a little weird. And I was fine today, but someone was telling me that the COVID could do that too. Is that the COVID can sort of exacerbate. Like I didn't have COVID when I was in Colorado, but it was just sort of making me sort of. I felt like I had sort of the Simone Biles twisties, where I didn't know where I was in my body. That's a good way
to put it. Yeah, right.
In the space in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's scary.
It seems to be a lot better. Yes, like today I drove and I went and got food and I, you know, so it's a lot better. And then and that's good. But I was thinking about my driving bit, and I don't know if I want to do it anymore. There's part of me that's like, well, why don't you just record it and make it into clips if you've decided to abandon it? I don't know. Have you ever just abandoned a bit because you just feel uncomfortable? Like, sort of, I mean, it's a funny bit, you know?
Yeah, like a bit like, what am I saying with this bit? Yeah, I've done that before, but then I ended up rewriting it and doing it on the talk. But yeah, you could put them down and then come back to them later, you know?
Yeah, and maybe a rewrite of it, or maybe just a re-examination of the whole premise. Because I like, it wasn't done by any stretch of the, I mean, it was longer than it needed to be in all the things anyway, so. Yeah.
Well, I think we're done here. Kyle, thank you for hosting.
Anytime.
I will say I have rewatched almost all of Foyle's War, and which is wartime British.
All right.
Yeah, I was just well, I couldn't. There are things I want to watch, right?
Yeah.
A Gentleman in Moscow. I bought that. It's Paramount Plus. Ewan McGregor.
Oh,
it's so good.
Oh, is it?
The book is so good. I wonder if you would like it because you like fiction occasionally, right? And it's
I'm
not
reading The Sympathizer. I'm doing a thing now where I'm watching a great miniseries and then reading the book after. So I watched The
okay.
Sympathizer, fucking amazing.
Okay.
Reading the book very slowly. I'm watching Pachinko. I just finished watching season 2 of Pachinko. I'm going to read that book next after The Sympathizer. I
What
cannot
is the
recommend Pachinko enough. I can't, and not enough people are watching it.
What
Please.
is it?
It's
What's
on
the
Apple
Sympathizer and what's
TV.
Pachinko? Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Oh.
The Sympathizer is it's about a half white, half Vietnamese spy who's spying for the Viet Cong within, in America and in Vietnam. It's riveting. It's great. And there's one white guy. There's like 5 white guys in the movie that are all assholes, and they're all played by Robert Downey Jr. And it took me like to the 3rd guy. I was like, wait, he's doing all the fucking parts. It's great. It's really, really good, and I think it's on HBO Max. But I watched it twice. It was great. Sandra Oh is in it. She plays
Okay.
a girlfriend, but which is just a dumb description of the role. She's very compelling. It was a great role.
Right.
It's really
Okay.
great, and that takes place in the like the very early 70s.
Okay.
As Saigon falls and refugees come to America, and he comes to America with a bunch of refugees, but he's spying for the Viet Cong that have that won. Obviously, it's really good.
Wait, so it was after the war.
The
So it's
very
after-
tail end of it. It starts at the very tail end when the Americans
Okay.
are bugging out.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
deals with PTSD. Who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, all that kind of stuff. It's great. The actors, great. The lead actor, great. And
Yeah.
then Pachinko, oh my god. So Pachinko it takes place in Japan and Korea. It starts in Japan occupied Korea, and it follows the story of one woman is specifically, but several generations of a family. And we start with the occupation of Japan and all the way up to the 80s, and how they exist in Japan as Koreans. And there's all this racism I wasn't aware of that was
Right.
happening. It's great.
Yeah.
And the performances are
Okay.
incredible. And stop listening to this podcast right now and turn on fucking Pachinko, because we need a
But
season
that's
3.
on Apple TV.
And if people aren't watching it, they're not going to give us a 3. Okay, I'm begging, please. Thank you.
And also Helium, you guys, Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, go to Helium.
Okay.
Turn on Pachinko and turn off the Penn State game and come to my show at Helium 4
so
p.m.
funny.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. A Gentleman in Moscow is extraordinary. The book is the guy who wrote about the white. What's that guy's name? He wrote about the serial killer in Chicago during the World Fair. That was big.
Oh, right. I read that book. That's a great one. Yeah.
White City.
Theodore Wright or
White
something
Castle?
like that. Oh yeah, the White Castle.
What was it, Kyle?
The book is Devil in the White City. I'm trying to remember his
White
name off the top of my head.
Jackie, we both had
Knowles?
White. We knew that White, and then I just was making up names. It's Teddy
Yeah.
White, that author.
Eric Larson.
Well, a gentleman.
Yes.
It's his. Yeah. Did you see Leah Thompson? Leah Thompson tweeted today because
No.
Dennis Quaid has come out supporting.
Oh God. Trump.
Knob Job, and it's completely insane because he was my crush. I was such a huge Dennis Quaid fan, and it's age appropriate. He's double my age. What, -7? And so he is, and so, but Leah Thompson was like, I was engaged to him, as she tweeted, and she's like, what? And then she was like, stop the stupid, please vote.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty tea. Yep.
Wild.
Yep. And but A Gentleman in Moscow is about is about a guy, a nobleman in right after the fall of the Tsar of Russia in 1917 and the creation of the Soviet Union. And this nobleman is incarcerated in a hotel for the rest of his life because he wrote a poem. And
Wow.
it is this book. First of all, that author is, of course, an incredibly beautiful writer. He's just, he has, his prose is gorgeous. His pacing is amazing. It was slow, but it wasn't too slow.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, especially like the classics of other centuries. Have you tried to read Moby Dick recently? It's so beautiful. It's
No.
pokey. It's so pokey. I'm like, please get to the well.
Yeah.
You're killing me. Why are we still in town?
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I know you're spooning with the Russian guy. Anyway, I've weeded off into Moby Dick and my classical review of the book Moby Dick.
I have
But,
not read Moby Dick.
um,
I was not forced to as a child, and it's on my list of things to do when I'm 90 if I'm not doing stand-up
How
comedy
about
with
Don
Diane.
Quixote? Have you
No.
have you tried Don Quixote?
I've not read Don
I read the
Quixote.
first 180 pages. It's funny. It's smart. It was sadly, I believe, written in the 1700s, and so it's a little pokey. And I've read Rabelais. I've read some Pitt, but it was assigned.
Mhm.
So I need someone to assign these books to me because Moby Dick
too.
is good, and I know that Don Quixote is good, but I just I didn't have to finish them, so I didn't.
If the IRS would make us, like, would they assign books to us as part of our taxes, we would read it, right?
Right. I would, because as a good taxpayer. And then the other thing I want to watch, but I haven't watched, is Agatha All the Way,
Mm.
and that's on me, man, because Andy
Well,
gave
Jackie,
me permission
again, you've had
to watch
COVID.
both of them. Right. It's right. So it was better to just rewatch and like I was watching like I literally night before last I put in Mr. and Mrs. Murder. Have you ever It's an Australian murder mystery show
Oh, really?
about a couple who are cleaners, the people who come and clean up after a murder.
Oh, yeah.
And it's this adorable couple who love each other so much, and they clean up after these murders. And then get this, Laurie, they solve those murders.
I love it. That's a great idea.
And sadly there's only like 2 or 3 seasons. It's a big disappointment to me because I would have loved about 7 or 8 seasons of that bad boy. Yeah. So I was sitting outside of the barbecue place reading a book, and 2 early 20s, late teens came up to me as they were leaving and said, "What are you reading?" And I said, "Well, it is a romance novel, 4 novellas, based on the Bridgerton conceit of Lady Whistledown by 3 different authors and Julia Quinn." And they were like, "Oh my God, I love Bridgerton." But it was such a weird interaction. But that's the only other story I've got, Laurie. I don't have a lot of stories.
No, that kind of reminds me of that Bill Hicks book or bit where he's at a Waffle House and he's reading a book at a Waffle House, and the waitress said, "What you reading for?" He said, "Not what are you reading? What are you reading for?"
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found an ice cream place called and I think it's a California chain, but I haven't seen one in LA, called Doers. Do you know
don't know it.
Doers?
Mm-mm.
Well, maybe it started in, there's 3 of them here in Bakersfield. And it's so but today I went to the Barrington's Jamaican Kitchen, which is like a photomat kind of thing where you do a drive-through. That guy was real nice. I wanted to go to something called the Chalet Basque Restaurant because while I don't know,
Did she freeze?
hang on a second.
She did ever so slightly.
I did freeze just a little bit, but that's the Wi-Fi of the computer. I wanted to go to this place while I was here. It's not going to happen now. The Chalet Basque Restaurant, because I don't know politically the history of the Spanish Basque into issues, but I think I lean Basque, and I'm willing to try their salads.
I think we both lean Basque. If you I wouldn't say that in Spain. I just you know
Yeah,
keep
but
it to
right
yourself.
here, who knows? And then the Wake Up Cafe, you guys, in the Fashion Plaza. Wake Up Cafe. If you ever get trapped in Bakersfield for a week, can I recommend the Salsa Verde Scramble? Because
Sure.
it was
I can't
amazing.
believe you were trapped in Bakersfield for 8 days and there was something you didn't get to. Like, it seems like that's double the amount of time you need to see everything you want to see in Bakersfield.
Right. I also went to the Barnes and Noble, and I went to 2 different Walmarts. So
Yeah.
things have happened, you guys. And I also, they have where Chris used to live in Central California, Exeter and Lindsay. They have a chain that's like an AM PM Arco kind of, they pour the cheap gas, and it's called Fast Trip. And so I went to one of those today too, and it was so cheap. The gas was it was like $3.95, and
Ooh.
it was so cheap that they wouldn't take my credit card at the pump. It just said, "Come on in," and I went in. And once you're in, then you of course buy a soda and a pastry for tomorrow morning. Oh my God, I didn't tell you about the pastry place I found. So I drive by. All I am is I'm just looking because oh, the second break. Let's do that first, and then I'll tell you.
We're back.
Emmanuel's Bakery. It is a Spanish Mexican bakery, and I saw all these pickup trucks just sort of parked around it as I drove by looking for a place to eat, and I just did a U-turn, went in, and followed a small Mexican family as they picked baked goods. And I also picked baked goods, and so I had a lot of baked goods that day. That was the day I ate baked goods,
Well,
and it was
yeah, you got to
amazing.
treat yourself when you got the big C, you know? You got to treat
Yeah.
yourself.
I think
The
it's the little C.
C19.
Right, the C19. The big C, I think it's cancer. This is the
Correct.
smaller C with a 19.
That's why I corrected. I realized
well,
my
there you go.
error,
You
Jacqueline.
Rocking
of course
the vid.
corrected. The vid.
Yes.
I'm hoping to leave tomorrow pretty early though, and head over
Yeah,
to
get out while
Grapevine.
it's you don't want to come into traffic. Well, I feel like I dumped a bunch of bits on the talk, and now I want to put together a Colbert set. But
Oh, that's right.
so yeah, so 2 of those bits I was thinking I could do on Colbert, and I'm like, well, they're gone now. But that's okay.
Yeah. That's all right.
I guess I just want to get it done in the next couple of months because I have a chunk of material that's about this graduating class, my son's graduating class, the class of 2025, and how they were affected by the lockdown. And I want to get it on something before they graduate, you know?
Oh, interesting.
So,
Yeah.
but one of them is one joke involves cutting, you know, the self-abuse of cutting. And so it might be a little hard to get that on television, even though I'm making a joke about it. You know what I mean? Like, they get very wary
Right.
about certain topics, but we'll see. I might have to write more jokes in that area.
I was surprised
instead.
that Corden. I did the they them bit at
Mm-hmm.
some event that my agent was there, and he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Why haven't you submitted that to Corden? He would put that on in a second." And I was like, "The they them bit, it feels a little too wobble, a little too woke for late night TV." And they snapped it up. They were on board. And
Yeah.
so maybe the cutting thing, I mean, it's not pro cutting. That's what we know.
No.
So there you go.
Yeah,
Step in the
we'll
right
see.
direction.
We'll see. The short joke I did that I would be a lead-in is gone now because I've done it on the talk and I did it on Sherry. So now I need a new short joke to start that chunk. Otherwise, I'm starting with like a lot of exposition before I get to a punchline. So there you go. Those are my plans for the next couple weeks, in a couple of months.
I like
my
it.
artistic plans.
Ooh.
And then I'll do Colbert, and then I'll just go on a boat and jump into the sea, having completed everything I need to complete in this life.
You are like Galadriel, and you will diminish and go into the west. Kyle, I think we're gonna stop a couple minutes early this day,
I think that sounds like a great idea.
just because I don't have any stand-up stories, but we'll come back even more stand-up stories next week. And we forgot to tell everybody to join the Patreon, and we're gonna record the bonus for the Patreon this week.
Oh yeah.
And then don't forget that Max Fun has 1,000 different shows on it. And if you join Max Fun, you get a bunch of bonus episodes from all of those shows and our shows. And
Yeah,
other
Max
than that,
Fun
I
is a
think they got
great
merch.
network. You get lots of
Mhm.
cool
It's a
shit
really-
and you can go in at very low levels. Same with our Patreon.
Yep, and there's a lot of merch on their merch page too, including, I believe, a Jackie and Laurie shirt that says, "It's your line, killed like
I
a
don't
guy,"
know.
right?
Feels
Yeah.
like a guy.
Something like that. Yeah.
Kills like a guy. Yeah, that's it. So, thanks for listening, everybody. And I'm going to go to sleep again. So, thanks a lot.